Hey folks, welcome. It's midweek, well, sort of, end of the week, but not time for a new weekly walkthrough yet. But I wanted to touch base with everybody on some of the problems and issues that came up in the last formal writing assignment. When you are citing sources, whether it's direct quotes or paraphrases, there's a trick to it, and the in-text citation is definitely the hardest part. So I wanted to show you a little bit more about how to work stuff from your research into your own writing, because that of course is going to happen in a much larger scale in the argument essay. And you're going to need to use both quotations and paraphrased information. You don't want to always just directly quote. And in fact, that's why in the last assignment, the Unit 4 assignment, you were specifically supposed to only use paraphrase, because it's one of the harder things to do. And it's something we need to practice in order to get better at. So if you only put quotations in, you not only lost some points, but you lost out on a chance to do some practicing. So let me talk a little bit about that and show you some things that you can work on. So I'm going to share my screen, and I've actually got hold on one second. I've got two things I want to share with you, and we'll take a look at both of them at one point or another. So let me make sure they're pulled up here. All right, there we go. Now I can't get back to my window. Come here, window. There you are. All right. Sorry. Technical difficulties. All right. So we're going to look at two things. One is the APA paper template for the APA paper. And this was something that is all the way back in Unit 1. This is actually not exactly the same. This is a version that I've used on my own computer, and I've already made some changes to it. But this is the basic setup for the paper. So remember, in the header, all you have is a page number over on the right-hand margin. The first page is just the cover page information. So this is what it would look like. The title is going to be bold. Your name is going to be on the second line, post-university. I think in the template in Unit 1, it has you also put your department. You've got me, hello, and then you've got the date. So I use today's date for just for demonstration purposes. The paper itself starts on page 2, and I've got the little weird like paragraph marks and things turned on so that you can see where the computer is actually doing things. So you'll notice it says page break here, and then this is the paragraph where you've hit enter. That's what those little blue things are. Now you can turn those on and off in Word. So I find them helpful to make sure that things are spaced properly and all that. But if you wanted to turn them off or on, you use this button right here. It actually looks like the little paragraph symbol, and now they disappear. So they would not show if it was printed. That's the whole point to those. And it just kind of helps you keep track of the formatting. So I'm going to leave them on for now because I want you to see some things when we get into some of the later items. So then we have the paper itself. Always starts on page 2. You do not need an abstract anymore. Some folks are still putting abstracts. That's something that APA used to do, but they fairly recently changed that. And for it's better for us. It's less work. So always a good thing. So this is where your paper will start. And I've only got a little bit on this template because I didn't really need that whole long one that we have from the beginning. And then we are going to practice doing our references on the reference list as well as in the text. Now, personally, I think the references list is much easier because most of us know that that has to exist. Now, this is just some sample sources from my librarians that I work with at my day job, so to speak. And these we will not need, but the nice thing about using a template is that this has the hanging indent turned on. So if I click on this one, you will notice that up here in the ruler, the bottom part, what is called the left indent, is in the 1/2 inch mark. If it was back over here, this is what some of you had done where you did not have the hanging indent. What you want to do is highlight that whole thing. So I just triple clicked and I'm going to move, oops, I don't want the whole thing. I just want the bottom triangle. There it is. Move it over to the 1/2 inch mark. Now you can also do that in the paragraph menu. You can choose hanging indent and it will do it for you. I like doing it myself simply because on the ruler, because that way I don't have to open and close a bunch of menus, but you can do it the other way if you want to. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put a real citation on this page. Excuse me, goodness. So I've pulled up a library source and you should be able to see that page as well. And I just searched for procrastination because we can all feel that one. So I'm just going to click on the article. Oh, it's going to make me sign in again. I thought it probably would because I signed in a long time ago. Uh-oh. Okay, let me just go back to the course and come in this the right way. Oh, it has me completely logged out. Oh, good grief. Sorry. Oh, it's probably because I was having to do all kinds of security updates to my computer today. That's what we'll blame anyway. All right, so now we should be able to get into the course. Yes. Close that one out. All right, and click on library, and we're going to search for procrastination. And I'm just using a blank kind of generic search term. Obviously, if I was really doing a research paper, I would be more targeted in what I'm looking for. I'm also going to use, instead of a peer-reviewed source, I'm going to use a magazine article just because I want to show you something that's user-friendly. And where was the one I liked? Here we go, the perils of procrastination. So if I click on this, it's going to give me the record, what's called the library record. If I want to read the article, I'm going to click on PDF full text, which I'm going to do here in a second. It does also appear to have the article below here, but we'll pull up the PDF once I get the citation. So let me click on the cite button. And of course, we're using APA. And it does not have a DOI. It's a fairly short thing, but I'm going to Control-C to copy it. And I'm going to put it in my Word document. Oops, I don't need that Word document. I need that Word document. I want it to stay with the hanging indent. So I'm going to, I'm just going to add it at the bottom. I don't want to necessarily delete these because I like to use them as a base, but here we can paste and we want to match formatting because we want to keep the spacing, we want to keep the hanging indent, all that stuff. So I'm going to match formatting, and it didn't need a hanging indent because it was not more than one line, but this is the correct one. Now, anybody notice anything wrong with it? We've been talking about these citations. Remember that APA does not use weird all title capitalization letters for the titles. As a traditional English teacher, that drives me crazy, but it is what it is. Now, typically you will see the magazine or journal title stay capitalized, but even if you had done this and made the excellent small, nothing bad would happen to you because technically APA does not use title capitalization the same way that MLA does. I'm going to undo it. Oops. Because I like the journal title. It just makes sense because it's already that way. All right. So now we have the citation. We have to have the citation before we can cite things that we're quoting or paraphrasing from the source, because we need to know what is going to go inside our little in-text citations in those parentheses. Well, it always matches what comes first. So we have an author's name, Kais. We also have a year, 2019. So every time we cite that source, whether we're quoting or paraphrasing it, we're going to have in our parentheses, Kais, 2019. Now, just for the sake of seeing what they would look like, what are we going to do if these were also sources that we were using? For this one, we would use APA citation, N period, D period. For this one, we would use American Psychological Association, 2010. For this one, we would use Bloxham et al., 2014. And for this one, we would use Dumbledore 2003. This one, because it's a book, I'm also going to have a page number if I want to include that. Like if I'm quoting it directly, I would put the exact page that it was found on. All right, so let's look at the article. Let's pull up the PDF. And again, you're going to want to have some of your research quoted directly. You're going to want to have some of your research where you've put it in your own words, but you're still citing your source. A good rule of thumb is that in every body paragraph of your essay, you'll probably have at least one, if not two, citations. Sometimes you could even have more than that. If you use a source, even if you think like that paragraph is too much sources, you still have to cite it. So if you have a whole paragraph that's from the source, then you have to show that. So we'll scroll down here. Let's get a little bit of information. So we have things, here's a nice thing that we might want to use, and we might want to put it in quotes. Procrastination, Ken Kais defines procrastination as to habitually put off something that should/could be done now. So let's say that, let's say we want to use that. So I'm going to go back to my Word document and I am going to just, I'm just going to use this paragraph and delete it because I'm going to start my own paragraph here. So we might start it off with some, oops, I don't want it to be bold though. Oops. Now, when we cite Ken Kais and we say his name, we don't have to put his name in the parentheses. We just have to put the year. And it was 2019, I believe. I'll double check that before we go. It goes right there. Ken Kais says, defines procrastination. Oh, I wish I could spell today. And then it's a quote, of course, so we have to have quotation marks around it. And his exact words were to habitually put off something that could be done now. Now, this is a PDF, so sometimes PDFs will not really allow you to copy, but I'm going to see if this one will. Because most of them will, but I also don't want to just dump it in there because I want to match my formatting, just like I did when I pasted the works cited or the references entry. The reason for that is notice how it is not in italics and it is in the same font and size now as the rest of my paper is, which is of course what we want. So that is a quote. Now, one of the things that I have talked to people about individually in your feedback, you never want to just have a quote just plopped in there. And you also want to come behind the quotes and talk about them and give your own input without saying, I think, I feel, I see, or I believe. So what exactly is procrastination? Ken Kais 2019 defines procrastination as to habitually put off something that could be done now. We can all relate to the impulse to put things off. So the real question is, how can we avoid or stop procrastinating? Now, let's say I want to give some advice that has been shared in this article. And I don't want to quote it. I want to put it in my own words. So let's find some information here. Okay, so here's a good portion to look at. To get you started in thinking differently about getting things done, read and follow the steps below. These and additional steps are included at the end of the article. So let's take a look at the first one here. Write a list of all the items you have put off to a later date. The list should include things you wanted to do, both personally and professionally, et cetera, et cetera. I like the, by the way, write your list now, not later. So let's say, and this was in, what was the name of the magazine? Feature, right? Is that correct? Let me double check. No, it had 2 words. The magazine is called Personal Excellence. So here's what's kind of fun. You don't always have to use Ken Kais's name as you introduce the material. You could use the journal title or the magazine title, or even the article title. You also don't need to always say in an article in blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't need it to be super wordy. So we're going to use the title of the thing. So it's Personal Excellence mentions that even the act of making a good, solid list of things you've put off can help start the process of getting over procrastination. Now, the other thing, of course, that you can do is maybe you don't want to quote the whole sentence, but you want to quote a key phrase. You can certainly do that as well. Because I did not use his name when I introduced this piece of information, I am including Kais's last name again and 2019. So now we have this. I'm going to highlight these just so you can get a visual. And this in this paragraph that were not my original thought. And we have citations for both of those things. Right now, this paragraph is almost all research. So I would also come behind it again and give some more information. In this particular case, I could use a personal, even though we don't want to write a lot in first person. If you have a personal story that makes sense, you can certainly share it. I'm gonna do that because I do have, why is this not cooperating with me? Let's see. Okay. Okay. So this is now a paragraph, right? I've got a quote in it, I've got some paraphrased information in it, and I've got my own interpretation, or in this case, my own story that backs it up. So when you are writing your argument essays coming up, this is kind of what you want to aim for. Now, obviously, you are not going to highlight the parts that are not you. I just wanted you to see that so you can visualize sort of how much is me and how much is the source. You can also have different sources that you cite in the same paragraph. I didn't want to do a whole lot of extra looking things up, so I'm just using Kaisa's right now. But that's the kind of thing that you want to do when you are quoting and paraphrasing. Um, so again, just wanted to give you this little extra bit of help. We don't have, we only have the introduction that we're writing this week, so we're probably not going to have a lot of citations in it, but you are, going to be working on this argument paper as the next couple of weeks happen. And so this will give you some good, solid things to think about with that. I am going to save this Word document and actually attach it in the announcement with this video, so that you can also use it. In order to do that, I'm going to highlight those because, again, we would not use highlighting, but this will also give you a good kind of reminder. It's in alphabetical order, so I don't have to actually erase anything, but remember, the only one we put on here was this last one. If you have any questions or problems over the weekend, please reach out. I am more than happy to help you walk through some things and all that good stuff. And in the meantime, I will look forward to seeing all your comments to each other on the discussion board this week, and on facts and opinions, which is kind of fun. And I will see you again on Monday for our weekly walkthrough. Everybody take care.